Remember how everybody wanted Left 4 Dead 3? Yeah, Back 4 Blood ain't it. I thought the only thing happening for this game was the closed beta for people who pre-ordered the game, but then I was told,
hey, it's open from the 12th to 16th.
So naturally, as the Chad alpha male that I am, I responded accordingly. Look, I got excited as hell when I found out there was an open beta. I still play Left 4 Dead 2 because obvious reasons are obvious.
The modding, it's the modding. It just never stops.
And if you're anyone that follows gaming stuff to a decent degree, you'll know that Back 4 Blood is just the long-awaited spiritual successor to the franchise. It's been too damn long. It's finally time. I shall consume all the zombie juices. Wait, hold on.
3 hours later.
I mean, it's alright, I guess. If you're expecting Left 4 Dead, you're not gonna get it with this, just being straight up. You'll definitely remember Left 4 Dead while you play it, and it has this certain kind of energy of Left 4 Dead, but it's just not. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be exactly like a game that it technically isn't, and it doesn't hurt to expand on the game it's based off of. That being said, the game is still only okay. There were things that I enjoyed, but I think there was more that I didn't enjoy. I recorded for a while with some friends because I was gonna make a video for the game channel, but it was such a ride that I just needed to talk about it. Oh, for the record, just so nobody vomits dumb comments on my thing. No, I'm not a Left 4 Dead purist. I wasn't one of the people that wished doom upon this game after the whole modding situation came out. I have Game Pass, and I was ready to play this game as soon as it came out, because even friends of mine were very ready and excited for this game. I wanted this game to succeed, and I still do. But damn, dude, it was rough. Alright, let's get the good out of the way. I think the level designs for the given campaigns are really good. They felt really familiar to Left 4 Dead maps, just modernized. There are plenty of nooks and crannies around every map that can have something useful like ammo, weapon attachments, or healing items. Pretty typical stuff, but it was all well executed. Weapons, even though they're modernized, feel really good to use, and this is coming from somebody who doesn't really like playing FPS games. It's always one of the most important things to get right for a genre, and in my opinion, they got it right. The recoil can be pretty fucking heavy, but I learned to get used to it. With the 2 different campaigns you're allowed to play, both final missions have objectives to do that will inevitably involve a horde and you needing to get the fuck out. Again, much like Left 4 Dead. So I guess to explain in short, the flow of gameplay is pretty damn good. With those 3 points said though, that's really about it for the positives, because anything else that I like has a caveat to it. When we first picked up the game, we started with the easiest difficulty just because we didn't want to go headfirst into chaos. Through that first playthrough, I went machete in hand swinging for like 85% of both campaigns. I never did that in Left 4 Dead because I'm pussy, but in this, it was really fun to do. The problem with melee in this game is that it's bound to stamina, regardless if it's your normal melee attack or your melee weapon. Well, I don't really mind the fact that you have stamina for running. I think that basically giving your melee attack ammo is kinda whack. I found a pretty quick workaround for this though. Every time you start the next part of the campaign, you can pick a skill card.
Oh baby, we'll get back to these fucking things.
So I would always just pick the stamina card, which stacked, which ended up giving me way more stamina, to the point where I didn't really have to worry about it. The problem, though, is that this is really only possible on the easiest difficulty. When playing on the next difficulty, Survival, zombies had to be hit with a melee weapon like 3 times before they went down, instead of the 1 hit on the easier Classic mode. Considering that you're slowed down when you get hit, on top of stamina limiting your swings, makes melee weapons a pretty decent gamble. Obviously pick your moments well, but if you decide to do a melee weapon with a gun just so you can be useful if you run out of ammo, that's gonna be a lot to deal with. That leads into something pretty big though, and that's the game's difficulty as a whole. It's fucking stupid! The differences between the 2 difficulties is fucking ridiculous. The easiest difficulty is called Classic, but it's just fucking baby mode, like no lie. Hardly any special zombies show up. Zombies die to melee in 1 hit only in Classic, and you regain plenty of health at the start of the next campaign. On Survivor, which is only 1 difficulty up by the way, so much is against you! There are so many, and I mean so many more special zombies compared to Classic.
We gonna get to that too, oh just you wait.
Hell, the amount of zombies in general like fucking doubles, and the same goes for the amount of fucking birds that are just hanging out. FYI, birds are just another alarm that sets off a horde. Health loss between safe rooms are fucking locked off until you find a healing station, which costs money to even use! Minus some free uses, but I'm pretty sure that's dependent on the difficulty anyway. Copper feels way more scarce, which is bad since a lot of useful things require that as currency, and if you're playing with randoms online, that shit ain't getting divided well. On top of all that, the special zombies are just fucking ridiculous. One is just a suicide bomber that needs to be focused fired before it blows up on you, and another is a combination of the boomer and spitter where it's just this big fucking fuck of a thing spits at you, and the spit that remains on the ground can hurt you, but if you get sprayed, I think you attract more zombies? Not entirely sure, but the range on its spit is freaking Long John Silver over here. Then there's this crooked son of a South Park character or something, and it's genuinely the cause of half the difficulty in this game, because it gets spawned so fucking often, and the dude just doesn't fucking stop. Not to mention the range on it is super big. I could hardly ever get away from it. And you know what? Maybe it was just because I would be too close. But most of these special zombies have weak points that do more damage, and with that mandingo of a thing, it wasn't that easy to get a good view of it. If this enemy was spawned even just a little less, it wouldn't be nearly as bad. There's this enemy that's a combination of the hunter and smoker where it jumps around a bunch and spits a web at you so you can get stuck. But honestly, it never really did all that much. I saw it the least amount of any of the specials, and it just felt like the most underused. Even though I think it has the best design, the last special was this thing that was coming out of walls, and it honestly just looked like a baby birth gone wrong. But this one felt like the most inconsistent out of all of them. In the like 3+ something hours of this game I played, I could never figure out the aggro range of this zombie. It was either you find it from a decent range, penetrate the vagina with your bullets, wait, take that pussy to Pound Town, no, shoot the weird thing from afar, or just get fucked from an undisclosed location. I'm not taking that one back. That thing just rides you. Have fun, Rule 34! I'm complaining about the difficulty in this game, but realistically, it's not that bad. Like, it's fine all things considered, especially if you're with a group of friends. The problem is the spike in difficulty between the two feels way too high, and it's just kinda cheap. What I mean by that is that it's all about managing weapon upgrades and your deck. Cause, you know, these developers wanted to make a real-time action card game or some shit, so why the fuck not, right? I'm not the first person to say this, and I won't be the last, but this game is just COD and Left 4 Dead meshed into one. Weapon attachments are available to purchase with the copper you find through levels, and there's also crates and supply boxes to open throughout the levels. There's also rarities to the attachments, because, you know, in a fucking survival game where resources are everything, that's definitely the kind of thing you want to worry about. Every gun has stats for things like range and accuracy, and even mobility, and the rarities of the attachments affect those stats. No, I'm no fucking genius over here, but I'm pretty sure that's just COD. I really don't want to compare this to Left 4 Dead so much, but considering what the game is, it's hard not to. In that game, there were different guns with no attachments, and for the most part, they were all equally useful. The only thing you really want to do is not have the normal pistol. But if you go for a melee weapon, that doesn't even really matter. I'm not saying that I don't like the idea of weapon attachments, because you can make like a Desert Eagle have a damn scope. That's cool. Weird shit like that, I'm down for it. I just don't think it has a place in a zombie shooter like this. And since we're comparing guns right now, weapon ammo also changed since it's now based around gun types instead of just a general ammo pile that refills everything. I don't think I like it. Even though there's a decent amount of ammo on the map, a lot of the time it wouldn't be for my kind of gun. And that wasn't just me. So it's either you struggle with ammo, or as a group you decide who has what type of gun, and that might not be fun for everyone. You can share ammo, yeah, but how good of an option that is depends on how much ammo that other person actually has. Now the real big gut punch here, the skill cards. After every completed part of a campaign, you get supply points, and you use these in the main hub to buy new skill cards and sprays, because that's always worth paying for. There's offensive, defensive, support, and mobility, and you build a deck around what skills you want to have. This shit sucks. Like I said before, cards can stack, so on Classic it can be abused if you want to get the right cards. In my case, I got the same card options every time. On Survivor, I made my own deck and chose to use it, and I'll fully admit, I might have made my deck too big. The starting one is only 5 cards, and the one I made ended up with 12. I tried getting a decent balance of the 4 skill types, and maybe I just overpacked. Either way, it sucked. A lot of the cards I was hoping to get didn't show up until like the last 2 chapters I played, and didn't even feel like they were working all that well. You can make a decent sized deck, but with only 4 chapters per campaign, it seems like there isn't any reason to have more than like 6 or 7 cards. That way you at least know what you're getting no matter what. Is this a foolproof thing? I don't know. But in my small, slow functioning brain, that makes sense to me. In a situation like this, it feels like the really worthwhile skill cards are going to be behind paywalls, much like additional characters will probably be, and that's just that's just a whole nother thing. On Classic, I didn't feel the card effects that much until they actually stacked. On Survivor, I hardly felt any of the effects to begin with. So essentially, the balance of this game is fucked since a lot of it is centered around these skills. Considering how the game throws special zombies at you, it just doesn't feel balanced because the skills don't feel like they do enough. It feels like the skill cards are gonna be split between this is fine and this is really good. And you can argue about how balanced that really is, even though it's just bad. It's like I said at the beginning, I was really excited. I was really hoping that it would be good. Despite me tearing this game up, I think it's okay. I played with 2 friends, and even though we played on fucking baby mode, just being with your bros mowing down zombies is never really that bad of a time. It can just get really old really fast. Oh, and word of advice, don't play with half a team of randos. Just don't. You need to communicate and ration out resources evenly, and that's just not happening with half a randoms. Playing by yourself, or even just you and a friend with 2 AIs isn't any better, because AI is rough in this game, no matter what the difficulty is set to. It's a beta for a reason, I get that, but this is the first beta I've ever played that really actually felt like a beta. There were so many weird moments, bugs, and glitches on top of awful balancing that is just kind of unbelievable. Post-script writing here. So as I pretty much finished writing this script, I just found out that there's something kinda... what's the word? Bad to the special zombies? Yeah, that's a fitting word. So aside from the wall vagina, the 3 other special zombies all have 3 different variants to them, and they're all visually different. That's cool, like in theory, but in action, it doesn't fucking work, especially in this type of game. Things happen in the distance where you might not be able to see it well enough to tell. Sometimes fog will cover up the areas because of a corruption card in action, which I didn't even talk about, but I think that part of the card system is actually fine. I don't mind it, but that'll just make it even more difficult to tell. Is bad. It can be a good game. I want it to be a good game. I want to have fun with my friends killing zombies. That's all I want, without needing to buy fucking COD zombies, because I'm not about that. Back 4 Blood feels like a really good example of trying to modernize older games, but doing it in a way that hinders the product. I am all for interesting systems, but one of the reasons Left 4 Dead is still so appealing aside from the modding is its level of simplicity to its gameplay. Hop in, pick up a gun or an axe, and just go in. This isn't that. As long as what it ends up being is fun, so be it. But the way it's turning out, I don't see this game replacing or inspiring anything.
Also, although I didn't make a gameplay video on it, my friend Blair did of the same recording session. He found plenty wrong with the game as well, and some of the issues I showed can be highlighted better there. Link for that will be in the end card and description. PP poo poo.
Also, I didn't play PvP and I don't plan on it. Okay, bye.